James Mathers with the Digital Cinema Society. Welcome to Focus on Cine Lenses from the buyer's point of view. This is an event that we've been doing many years at Cinegear, and the idea is that we get the top manufacturers in the field. We get them all in one place at one time, so you can find out what's new, what the latest innovations are. But let's start. Participating in alphabetical order, we have Randy Wedick from Angenieux. We have Art Adams from ARRI. We have from Cooke, we have Carey Duffy all the way from the UK. From Fujinon, we have Stosh Durbacz. From Infinity Photo-Optical, we have Stamm. From Leitz, we have Seth Emmons. From Sigma, Frank Ramirez. From Tokina, Ryan Avery. And from Zeiss, we have Jean-Marc Bouchut, who used to always be on this side, but now we're going in alphabetical order, put some on that side. If you've ever seen these before, you'll know what I'm talking about. We started hosting this event because I'm an investor myself in cinema glass, and I wanted to find out what's new. It's always been a great value to invest in glass. For instance, the 35 millimeter format glass that I have now, I've used on 8 different camera systems, and they've become obsolete, but the lenses are still great. As a matter of fact, they've gone up in value because people like that vintage look. But I guess, looking at the crowd here, I'm not the only one that's interested in cinema glass. They've been a good investment, but with so many lenses coming to market, so many different new features and things like coverage area, speed, metadata, mounts, focus assist options, not to mention anamorphic. It's become very, very complicated. So to help everybody stay abreast, we've gathered these fellows here, and I'm going to ask them one by one to tell us a little bit about their lenses, and we'll also ask a little later about their philosophy. But right now, just tell us about your products. What's the latest lenses?
Hi, my name's Randy Wedick. I'm the CTO of BandPro. We're based in Burbank, but I'm also the CTO of Angenieux for the Americas, so that's North and South America as well. Angenieux is a name that's very associated with zoom lenses, so I've brought a zoom lens with me. I've got the new 21 to 56 ultra compact zoom. This forms a pair with another zoom that we have in our booth. It's a 37 to 102. And these are the focal lengths that when the lens is in full frame. And in that system, it is it's a T2.9 for both of those focal lengths. This rear block here is removable by a skilled user or a lens tech and able to be swapped to cover a field of view that we call Ultra 35, which is basically covers a lot of the loose definition of Super 35, like ARRI Open Gate or Komodo and different sizes like that. I've even put it onto a Venice, and it covered what they call 7.6K, which is like 80% of full frame, 90% of full frame. So that was kind of interesting. These lenses are a continuation of previous lenses, the Optimo zooms, the lightweight zooms, which are really well known throughout the film industry. They're kind of the zoom that shoots like a prime, and also the thing to be known about on lenses in general is that they're really designed to make, I know this is a very vague term, but cinematic imagery. They're designed to be high resolution, but at the same time low contrast, which allows you to get squeeze in a little more dynamic range, allows you to kind of smooth over some skin details, and they're very kind to human faces, and they, like I said, they're able to be switched between full frame and U35. We sell them in 2 different versions. One of them is a full frame only, and the other is a switchable one that we call a pack. They transmit metadata. They have the /I connections and the 4-pin port here. It's a really nice lens for all sorts of usage. So, if you have 2 of these, it covers you from 21 to 56. The other one covers you from 37 to 102, which gives you a pretty decent range of focal lengths. It's nice and has it's nice balance lens for gimbal usage, handheld, smaller form factor cameras, that type of thing. And they generally have, they keep a lot of what people like about the Angenieux lenses, which is a lot of character, and kind of sort of some rainbow flare, some nice veiling glare, that kind of thing. But they are redesigned 100% from the ground up mechanically, kind of operating on this rail-based system that gives the lens a huge bump up in consistency. One of the things that when you start shooting with digital cameras, you don't have kind of the always frame to frame inconsistency of film. You have this non-moving pixel and a non-moving sensor, and then you start to see a lot of inconsistencies in various lenses. So these lenses have been designed to perform very, very consistently throughout their zoom range. But for situations where you would like a different take on this system, we also offer the Optimo Prime, and this is a system of 12 prime lenses from 18 to 200. The vast majority of them are T1.8. They're about this size. They're a nice, handy lens for a one-handed lens change, and they carry a lot of the same look and feel that people like from these lenses and the Ultra 12 by. Like I said, it's high resolution, low contrast. It's kind of an interesting duality. But what these lenses allow you to do is they're sold with a toolkit, and the toolkit allows you to disassemble the lens at the lens tech or skilled user level and swap various optical parts. On the back here, there is a rear filter that is easily swappable. And then you can use the toolkit to open up the lens and kind of pop. It's disconcerting the first time you do it, but you can sort of pop this block out, and the whole lens, more or less, itself comes out. And then there is a system here, kind of where the red line is here, where you can swap out various filters or different kinds of glass to create a new effect inside this lens. And you can have various like diffusive or reflective filters, and basically what this does is that it adds a lot of the same effect you would get from matte box filtration, but when you have a matte box and you have a filter here and light hits it, that light gets diffused, it passes through into the lens. Some of that light gets reflected, and if it's in the matte box, it bounces out into the scene. If you have it inside the lens, that light gets hit, and then that light then kind of explodes and bounces around and bounces off all the other elements inside the lens, giving you some of the effect of the filter, but also creating this kind of new, cool, vintage type of flare look inside the lens.
And now we have Art Adams from ARRI.
Hello. I'm the product specialist for cinema lenses based out of ARRI in Burbank, and I cover the ARRI Americas region. I brought a Signature Prime, one of 16 that we have. I did not bring one of our 4 signature zooms, which intercut with these, but I did bring, well, let's start from the beginning. What do you do if you're a film company, an old film company? You specialize in scanning film and making film cameras and making film lenses, and you start making cameras that exceed the dynamic range of film, and then you start testing lenses, and you realize that if you play back the footage in a way that people in the future will be watching your footage with extreme high dynamic range displays, the lenses maybe don't do what you want them to do, or they do things you didn't expect. So, for example, the Alexa 35, 9.3 stops of dynamic range over middle gray. If you use all of that, you're going to stress a lot of lenses. And we kind of set out, back when these came out in 2018, when they came out with the Alexa LF, we knew what the Alexa LF was going to do, but we also had an idea of what the 35 was going to do, and we have an idea of what the next few cameras are going to do. So we wanted to make a set of premium lenses that's going to last for a while, because we tend not to start new generations of lenses very often. This is the premium range for the foreseeable future. How do we make a set of lenses that has a look that is only going to look better as we move into the future of HDR, given that we have learned that HDR hates lenses. Yeah, there's really no better way to put it. So what we wanted to do is find a way to create a look that kind of reimagined. We have film roots, but we're trying to look forward now and try to figure out what the next thing is going to be as far as what our look and style is. And we tried to make glass that's going to work for large format sensors, Super 35 sensors, cameras of extreme dynamic range, and they're going to hold up over time when, 15 years we're projecting 10,000 pictures on the moon for, who knows how much money. So we wanted to cover ourselves for that. So that's where these designs come from. And there's a DP, his name's Logan Schneider. He actually shot the upcoming documentary that's coming to Netflix about Arnold. It's called Arnold. I think you can figure out who that's about. He shot them with signature primes and prototype signature zooms. So I'm fairly excited to see that. He has the best description I've heard of these so far, which is that signature lenses are like looking through a beautiful window. But what if you want to break that window? Well, we figured out a way to do that. Early on, we started experimenting with what happens if we take this net ring that's built onto the back of every signature lens that you can easily put a net on with, and we start putting optical elements back there. And we started with some very simple diopters, and we got some really cool looks. And we experimented for a while. It took us 3 or 4 years, but we came up with, see if I can do this one-handed. Ta-da! All right, I just made that into a portrait lens. So, severe undercorrected spherical aberration and coma. And it's quite a look. This is the strongest positive filter. We have 4 positive filters and 4 negative filters. They do exactly the opposite things. Well, actually not exactly. It's about 85% opposite things. They do some very interesting things. But what we tried to do was figure out a way to break these lenses in a way that's going to play nicely with our philosophy of what's going to happen in 10 or 15 years when someone's shooting extreme dynamic range footage and someone else actually looks at it that way. So we wanted to come up with a vintage kind of look, but it's not completely vintage because some of that stuff can be really distracting in HDR. So if you want to know more, I am doing a presentation tomorrow downstairs, Sherry Lansing Theater, 11:45. It's about an hour, and it's probably more than you ever thought you would want to know about these filters. Please come on by. Thanks.
Thanks for giving us a short version. Carey, Duffy.
Focus on Cine lenses from the buyer's point of view. Interesting question. As a manufacturer of the widest range of motion picture lenses on the market in every type of form factor, we got you covered. I would think that. We got you covered historically because we talk about vintage a lot. We were making those lenses in vintage time for cinematography, so we think we know what we're talking about because that's part of our philosophy. Modern, yes, we cover everything modern and we have modern ways. But I didn't bring a lens here, and that's not because it's to do with what some people may consider the Cooke delivery time. We can deliver you lenses, I just didn't deliver one to this table. That's the only thing that I'm saying. We can deliver you lenses tomorrow if you want them. It's a very wide and broad question. And I think I'll wait for the questions to come in because it's not for me to presuppose and put upon you what is best and what is better. It's for you to choose based on your project, based on your kit, based on the ergonomics of how you light, and everything that goes into what you consider you need to do. However, most of the lenses we sell to rental houses because they become assets and they become assets for making money. And as all of the manufacturers here will probably testify to, glass is king. Cameras aren't, they come in, they become doorstops pretty quickly. So if we're talking about that, then as I say, we have you covered, and I'll wait for the questions to come in, and then hopefully I'll be able to answer some of those things relevant to what you want to hear that works for you. So I'll pass on.
You didn't even mention Cooke look.
It's an interesting question because, I'll put it simply. The Cooke look is a philosophy. And as I said, we make the widest range of motion picture lenses in every format possible. And I was giving a presentation at the London Film School recently, and I was asking students that exact question. And one young student went, "Oh, yeah, but I'll use the Cooke look for a period drama." I said, "That's really interesting. So how do you use an SF full frame anamorphic in a period drama?" And he just looked at me and goes, "I don't know." So the presupposition of the Cooke look, it's not our Cooke look, it's your Cooke look. It's how you use it. Because we do make the widest range of lenses. And so how you choose an SF in a flaring motion, or I get another cinematographer who likes the standard anamorphic, someone likes a 1.8, they want full frame, someone likes a 2 times, they like you working on Super 35, they like the form factor of the camera, someone wants a Panchro Classic. Going back to the Cooke look, the Panchro Classics were bought in because the colorist union were making a pretty penny recorrecting all those 75s that had gone a little bit warm. So we brought back the original recipe. We know the on-axis target, we know the light flare, we know the spread, we know the fall off, we know the refractive index of the glass, we make the slug, we put it back into a new housing with eye data. Bingo. Just looks like the original thing. It's got continuity to it. And another thing about the Cooke look that people don't consider is our mechanics. We work to exceedingly high tolerances. That's why every Cooke prime lens has an individually engraved scale, even at our entry-level lenses with the Mini S4s. We don't slack on tolerance. It's not in our philosophy. So I'll wait for the questions to come in and I'll answer them. But the Cooke look is more than one thing. It is philosophy, but it's dimensionality, it's warmth, and it only resolves in how somebody likes something.
Stosh, Durbacz.
Thank you, Jim. I'm Stosh with Fujifilm's Optical Device Division, which to some of you is probably better known as Fujinon. We make and distribute exclusively cinema zoom lenses from our group. Of course, we have our sister division with the X-Series cameras and GFX cameras, and all that stuff's back on the booth, and I encourage you to come by and check out some of the cool stuff there. I just wanted to quickly recap where we're at from the Cine Zoom lens side. We start in that world with our 2 MK zooms. You're going to be hard pressed to find a higher quality / value zoom lens in the cinema market than the MK zooms. They're available in the Fuji X mount, E mount, Micro Four Thirds mount, and relatively new from our friends at Do Close Lens in RF mount. So those guys continue. Super 35 zooms, the MKs. Up from that is the Cabrios. The Cabrios were a revolutionary thing back in the day. That was 11 years ago. The first Cabrios were launched. They're still relevant today, to Jim's comments, how these lenses, the investment in a Cine zoom lens, or in a Cine lens generally, certainly outlives the life of cameras. So it's great to see that. What's cool to see, even on some of the most modern cameras today, we've got a 19-90 on an Alexa 35 on a Steadicam in our booth, just showing how that's covering the Alexa 35 in its various formats. The Cabrio is so great to see that. And then, of course, the Promistas for large format. So the Promistas are great. One of the cool things there is that we did implement the /I metadata as well as Zeiss's extended data. So as we move into the virtual world, having all that metadata coming from your lens is extremely powerful. We're excited to see what the good folks at SMPTE and the RIS are doing in terms of pushing forward the use of metadata in production and the value that can bring to everyone. So that's exciting there. But what we're most excited to talk about now is the new series, a whole new category of cinema lens, which is the Cine box lens. So we have our Duvo 25 to 1000 down there. There's actually one in Abel's booth too, if you're looking to get your hands on it. It's a cinema box lens. So for any of you that have seen box lenses out in the wild, sports, at live events, at concerts, it looks just like a box lens, but at its core, at its heart, it's a cinema lens. It's a native PL mount on there. When we talk 25 to 1000 mil, that's in Super 35 focal lengths. It does have an expander built in, a 1.5 times expander, so you can use that on your Super 35 camera, achieve 1500 millimeter, or you can put your full frame camera on there and cover that. It looks just like a TV lens, but here at the show, we're showing a lot of configurations that really make it comfortable in a cinema production environment. So, of course, like I said, it's a PL mount native, so you're using your cinema cameras. There's no adapters. You don't have to do any of that. But additionally, our friends at Wooden Camera have a first generation prototype of a cage they built that's going to let you get your accessories on that. We've got some images, and your friends at Wooden Camera have some images of what the final one's going to be, but we have their first prototype on the lens down in our booth today. We've got a Preston MDR plugged into the lens. So one of the big challenges with a TV lens is the user interface, the way the focus puller is going to focus that lens. Well, it's amazing to see how comfortable they become when you hand them their Preston handset. They get their monitor and pull focus just like they would. Now it doesn't matter what shape that lens is. It can be a box, a triangle, a circle. It doesn't matter. Your tool set is your tool set. Nothing's changed from that perspective. Another real exciting thing that happened today, for the first time, our friends at Tiffin have got some rear filtration. So we've got 5 or 6 different Tiffin filter prototypes that we can mount at the back of that lens and allow you to filter that lens to your liking now. So that's really what we're here to show. We do have a mock-up of a portable version in the Duvo line. It'll be a 24-300 with the drive unit on the side, like our Cabrio. So that's under glass today. There'll be a wide that will follow that. Certainly look to next Cinegear to see those working live. But yeah, we're real excited to see how the community makes use of this new tool, this new category of cinema zoom lens, and what can they create with a 25 to 1000 mil zoom lens in the cinema world. So thank you.
Thank you. Turning the lens over to Ed Stamm, representing
Infinity Photo-Optical.
Hi, everybody. As Jim said, my name is Ed Stamm, and I'm here with a company called Infinity Photo-Optical. We're a new company on the block of the cinema world. 40 years ago, Infinity Photo-Optics built special lensing for scientific exploration into machine works, microscopic technology. Something totally different than all the gentlemen that are up here. So in this system, we start out with a base lens. This is the vehicle that we can put the lens mount on the bottom. It has a focus barrel and an iris. And to the front end of this, we can attach 5 separate lenses. 3 are called SFX. There's a 1, 2, and a 3. The 1 is telephoto, the 2 is a medium, and the 3 is a wide-angle lens. In that range, you focus to infinity, or the farthest object that you're looking at. And when you look down, everything from that infinity mark to as close as 2 inches is in full focus. A very unusual and very bizarre perspective. And it can be used for force perspective, where you can have miniatures looking at live, and they seem to be in a different scale totally. This can also be set up on a robotic arm with those 3 lenses, and you move in and out of all kinds of tabletop maneuvers and not have to follow focus. Very interesting possibility. ACs may not like me. The other 2 lenses, one is called a Macro Pro. When you load the Macro Pro on here, it's a 4 times macro lens. Not many lenses go that high. This one does. And if that isn't enough, it doubles up as a portrait lens. And if I point it out at a person's face 8 to 10 feet away, I get a beautiful, like 135 millimeter portrait of their face, but I actually get about 8 feet of depth of field. Very unusual. You have to see it to believe it event. The last one is called the Micro HM. The HM stands for high magnification. When that lens is set up on here, it does 16 times magnification. I didn't believe it. I've been in the business for 40 years. It does. It'll blow your mind away when you see it 16 times. But then if you tilt it up and focus at infinity, it holds focus from infinity to 20 inches. It's a very unusual system. Microscope technology is totally different than all of these gentlemen, and they all have marvelous products, believe me. But this is something very unique and different, and is only making it into this world now because the ISO has gone high enough to cover the microscopic lens. It's fast enough. The only other addition to this is there's a 90-degree and a 45-degree prism, and you can put any 4 of the 5 lenses on the prisms. So a 90 and a 45 make it very useful. And then we have what we call the flipper, which acts as an extender. So you get a more extended range from the camera. You're not right on top of everything. And the 3 SFXs and the HM are inverted when you put them on the camera. So the flipper flips the image if you want to use it that way. Other than that, we call it a studio in a lens case.
Beautiful. It does take a lot of light though, just so everybody knows.
Said the eyes.
Yeah. But you can get great results. Really, you need things that probably nobody's ever seen before. Go ahead, Seth Emmons from Leitz.
Hi, I'm Seth Emmons with Leitz. You probably know our sister company, Leica Camera. We are the sister cinema division of that, and we make Leitz branded lenses, although it has a ton of Leica glass in them. Of our 7 sets of primes and 2 zoom lenses, I brought our 2 newest sets of primes here. One of them is completely made of Leica photography glass. This is a Hugo prime lens. It is made from a rangefinder lens called the Leica M series. Super fast at T1.5, ultra compact, and this lens is full of character. It's got a large field curvature to it with focus, so your center is sharp while your edges fall off due to the nature of a rangefinder lens being very close to the sensor. The angle of light tends to curve as you get to the edges, and then you get a little bit of shading and fall off toward the edges. It performs similar in a way to some vintage lenses, but without some of the compromises of, these are modern coatings. These lenses are manufactured today for photography and for cinema. It's the same glass as our M0.8 lenses, and basically just in a more robust cinema housing. It's an LPL mount, and we've chosen to standardize all of our development going forward on the LPL mount that was designed by our friends at ARRI, because the closer you can get to the sensor, the faster, cheaper, lighter you can make a lens. Our second set of primes here is the LC prime lenses. These ones are a cinema design from the ground up. So while the Hugo lenses have some photography characteristics like a bit of breathing, a bit of distortion, LC lenses don't have that. They perform the way a normal cinema lens does, but they're a full frame optic. Both of these are. LCs have a large illumination, so there's no light fall off, but we did design them to have a little bit of focus fall off, just a gentle fall off toward the edges to bring the image to the center. You probably may be familiar with our Leitz Summilux C or Summicron C lenses. We've been known for making relatively clean lenses in the past that are, relatively natural to what your eye sees. And we've decided that going forward, rather than standardizing on that look for different formats, we're introducing different characteristics to different lens lines to give more options to cinematographers. Yes. As I mentioned with LPL, we have designed something because this lens, the silver part here is the LPL mount, and there's a lot going on behind it, and not every camera can accommodate that. ARRI cameras, no problem, they're fine with that. Red cameras, most of them are fine with the adapters that are out there, but with Sony, we found that the existing mounts that were out there, we had to do our own because it would not accommodate the rear element of this lens. So we made an LPL mount with Sony's support that also passes metadata. It's got an LPL mount, but it also has a PL adapter, which passes /I metadata. This is the PL adapter to it. We have the whole unit in our booth out there along with all of our lenses. Yeah, I encourage you to come by and take a look. Like I said, we have 7 different lines of lenses. So there's a lot to choose from, a lot to learn about what a Leica lens can offer you creatively, and there's lots of options.
Next, we have Frank Ramirez from Sigma.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's my first time being here, so I'm pretty excited about it. I'm a little nervous, but stay with me. So I'm Frank Ramirez. I'm from Sigma. I'm the Cine account specialist out here in Burbank, but we have headquarters in New York as well, and we're a Japanese-based company. You might know us as like the photo brand. We've been making photo lenses for quite a while. maybe not as long for like cinema lenses. So we came out in 2016 with our first line of full frame high speed primes. T1.5 for most of the range, except the 14 and the 135. Those are T2. So like we've been making lenses for about 60 years, which not a lot of people are aware of. We've been focused solely on making the best, most precise lenses for for photographers and creatives out there. So just moving into the cinema space just made a lot of sense. We had already engineered them to be full frame and have immense resolution, so you can shoot on all the new sensors and still be covered. And we thought about that even before we went into the cinema game. So we're really planning and we're really honing our technologies. Everything we do is vertically integrated, so we make sure that the standards between even the screws that we make are as high as it can be. In 2020, we released a line called the Classics. A little bit more of a vintage look to it without any of like the real drawbacks. They do a really good job, and I heard this quoted before at the Lens Day the other day, that they massage the image a little bit more. So if you're interested in something that's going to give you a more cinematic look, then the Classics would be the way to go. Again, not many people really got their hands on them because they came out before the pandemic. So I encourage you to come by our booth on spot 21 if you really wanted to get your hands on. Really happy to show you guys and walk you through everything that we're doing. We're really receptive to your feedback. I know you guys are very opinionated sometimes, so feel free to give us any of your opinions, and we really try to do the best with them and try to make things that will actually fit your needs. Just going by the fact that we've made photo lenses and now making cinema, we're also doing something. We're raffling an 18 to 35 lens EF mount if you guys stop by our booth. So come by and say hi, and then we also have an open house on Sunday. So if you guys want to have a little, talk, come by and see us there.
Next, we have Brian Avery representing Tokina.
Thank you. Tokina, I have here Vista Prime. Tokina started the Vista Prime project in 2013. The idea behind it was to make large format speed primes. And if you think back that far, there wasn't anything other than like a 5D. Check my math on that. But anyway, so to make high speed T1.5 lenses that cover 65 format, with area of definition for full frame VistaVision, which there's a difference there. So that's what we did. And Tokina had not made cinema lenses much in the past. They'd taken photo lenses and whacked a gear on it. And Duclos lenses have been thrown around a few times here, but I'll throw it around again. They took the 11 to 16 photo lens and put a gear on it, and it was extremely successful. And then Tokina followed up with their own version, but these were all photo lenses. This is a design purpose-built fast speed prime. We've seen a lot of success. They're particularly popular in VFX in a significant number of films, and we've seen a lot of adoption in TV series, including people ask me, what do these look like? I said, well, watch Ted Lasso. That's what they look like, if you're going for the more clean look. These ones, we started with 6. We're now up to 13, and we'll have a 14th lens soon. This is number 13, which is the 180 millimeter T1.9. So they're all T1.5 except the 180, which is 1.9. As I like to say, we really didn't want a lot of hate from focus pullers, so we made it 1.9. The actual reason is that the front would be very large, and so we hold a 114 front. This is the largest one in the series, so definitely not a small lens, but that's because they cover a lot. Really, the thing that sets these apart is that they have the ability, and why they've been popular in rental and other places, because they have the ability to be messed with, I guess we'll say. They're very intentional design that allows a lot of latitude for changing of spacing of elements or coatings and all kinds of things. So we have our Vista 1 series, which we came out in 2019, and it has a single coated front element, and we continue to work on that with different coatings and recipes to meet the needs of cinematographers. So that's what we got. We also make some purpose-built cinema zooms. We have a similar to Angenieux, I guess you would say, the Ultra 35 format. We have a 25 to 75 T2.9. So we have a whole set of 3 zooms for that. So lots going on there. We've been very happy to have good success, and you can come check them out. in the interest of wasting less time, we'll give it to them.
Next, from Zeiss, Jean-Marc Bouchut.
Yeah, well, glad to be here after 4 years of, a lot of things change for me, for the industry. So I think everybody is really happy to be here at Paramount, and it's very glad to see a full room with people without masks. So regarding Zeiss, we have been around for a long time. It appears when I started with Zeiss recently, I did some research and I just found out that the first camera designed by the Ramirez brothers was equipped with a Zeiss design anastigma lens. So in the past century, we have designed a lot of optics, and most recently, latest design have been the full frame lenses. The Supreme Primes came in 2018 with a set of 6 lenses, started from 25 to 100. Now we just released recently the 15 millimeters, so we have a total of 14 lenses covering 15 to 200 millimeter. Most of them are T1.5, very fast, very compact. One of the idea around the Supreme Prime was to make a lens that looked really cinematic, but also being light and compact was really just a target for us to really create something that can be used in a lot of camera configuration, handheld, Steadicam, cranes, or whatever. We completed the Supreme Prime line with a Radiance version. When we came with these lenses in 2018, some cinematographers say, I love your look, I love your just sharpness and contrast, but I want sometimes something a little bit different that look more creative. And we talked to a key cinematographer here in Hollywood. We worked with some lens technician at Casco Camera and came with a unique design of changing some optical coating on the internal element in order to create a very unique flare. The idea is to have nice and visible flare, but also being just able to control the flare with depending on the way where you put the light, and being consistent from each lens. So at the end, we use only the T1.5 lenses on the Supreme. So the radiance are based on the 18 to 135 Supreme Primes. And they have this unique look and unique characteristics that I've been really pleased by some cinematographer in order to create a look that kind of mimic the vintage look. We also have for sure the zoom. We also like one of the big players in zoom. The cinema zoom have been around for around 10 years, and they are still really well used. Most of them in complement with a Supreme or Supreme Radiance. And we have entry-level lenses. We have a CP3. CP3 is a total of 11 lenses from 15 to 135. Uniqueness is they are light and compact, but also they have a way to have interchangeable mount systems. So you can have a lens either in PL, E mount, EF mount. We have micro four third and also F mount. And you can buy the lens, and in the future, just buy the specific mount you want to use and swap the mount by yourself. So I didn't bring a lens, but we have plenty other booths. So if you want to come and check the lenses, we have cameras there. We have also lens projector that's on the side booth by MIT work. So please come by and look at the lenses. And also we supply the lenses for the HBO project that's going to be screened tomorrow evening. So it's also a good way to look at how they perform, because there's been a really deep research and test that has been done by HBO, and I really recommend you to attend the screening.
Can you hand the mic? Thank you very much. Can you hand the mic to Ryan? Ryan, I have a question for you. I think you mentioned U35. That's a term I've been hearing a little bit lately, but maybe not everybody's familiar with it. Can you tell us what that is?
Well, Brandy might be able to explain better, because I would say if the shoe fits, steal it. So No, I can't explain. Basically, it's I mean, as we all know, there's lots of different sensor sizes, and if you really put them all down, it looks like a map of Disneyland. It's kind of ridiculous.
People think Super 35 is an exact.
It is, yeah, but even
it's
then
not.
you've got 3 per 4 per. There's. So I think a number of manufacturers, maybe offline or online, have really started referencing as Ultra 35, which is basically. I'm not sure what the image circle is on the Angenieux, but for us it means 36 millimeter image circle, which will cover basically
A lot.
the Red Dragon. Yeah, and with our 25 to 75 zoom, it's a really small zoom, and people go, why in the world didn't you make this full frame? And the answer is one, Tokina likes to make big heavy lenses that do a lot, but also so we wanted to make the size smaller. In a certain price point because it's a $5,000 lens, so we limited the coverage, which still covers Dragon, Red Dragon, which is more like the old film APS-H size, and the answer is Ultra 35 is just pretty much everything in the zoo that isn't full frame.
People are trying to get that vintage look, and people are putting sandpaper on lenses, but that's like ruining lenses. You could never go back from that. So I really like the idea that you had with ARRI and about putting filters behind the lenses. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about your answer, so you don't have to alter a lens?
Sure. So these are the impression filters. I think I forgot to say that before because I am a professional. So what we realized is these are very high performance lenses, so we can actually do a lot at the back by introducing a fairly sophisticated optical element. But in the end, I describe it as like putting snow tires on a racing car. You can change the performance very quickly in a very simple way. Each of these filters do effectively that. They sit at the back. They're actually very complex. They started out as experiments with diopters, but they're actually much more complex now because they do preserve focus marks, and they introduce a lot more spherical aberration and coma than I saw in the original ones that we were testing. So we've really added some specific characteristics while also, I mean, commercials and music videos were fine taking the little prototypes that I have and just taking them out and experimenting with them and focusing by eye. Features and TV said, no way, we're not going anywhere near these into the focus marks track. So I think we actually have a proprietary formula that allows us to figure that out. But yeah, it's basically the positive one is undercorrected spherical aberration and a lot of coma. The negative ones are overcorrected spherical aberration and the opposite coma. I don't remember which way the positive and negative comas go, so I'm not going to pretend to know. But they are opposite in many ways. And they do look like vintage lens effects. They don't look like any specific lens. They're definitely their own look. But it's kind of fun to be able to swap between, for example, the positives, you don't need to shim the lens at all. You just pop them on the back, choose the one you want. The negative ones do require 2 millimeter shim, fairly thick shim, but very easy to install because it's one really big shim. It's very easy to hold on to for someone like me whose fingers don't work very well, especially with small screws, as I've discovered. But yeah, it just pops right in here, and it takes about 5 minutes to put in, and then you can switch between all the negatives. And in each range, we have a really, really, really strong filter and a really, really subtle filter, and then 2 in between. So it takes a little while to kind of get a sense of what they do at what focus distances, because depending if you're shooting a close-up or a wide shot, you might get different results, but I think that's part of the fun of discovery.
And that's part of the Angenieux plan too, to use rear filters.
Yeah, I mean the design of this lens is that you have rear filters, but also center filters, and having the filter in the center we found creates a lot of interesting effects on their own.
So every project can have a different look. Every cinematographer can make their own look. Like
Right, and then you can reverse it and
Yeah.
have your clean, neutral look in a few minutes.
Yeah. So we shouldn't sandpaper though.
Well, I mean, you can take you can put the sandpapered element in the middle here and then take it out all you want. I did like Vaseline hairspray, like scratched it, drilled holes through it, all that stuff. It's pretty fun.
Now,
But
from the buyer's point of view,
not on like a front element.
we always want to know what's the price, right?
Yeah.
So just what's the bad news?
I mean,
What's that?
these primes are not cheap. They're they're around $20,000 to $25,000 each, and then the zooms are about $50,000. And then if you'd like to get into the Ultra 12 buy, which is the very large studio zoom, that's about $110.
What? It's probably a good investment in the long run. What's your price? What? How much? Do I hear 100,000? Do I hear?
Yeah. The mid-range ones were about 25,000. We did just have a price increase due to the exchange rate with the euro, and not up to date on the exact price, but it is higher than it was. The zooms are kind of in the 50 to 70,000 range. The filters are for a set 6,500. They come with 3 shim sets to shim 3 lenses. If you want to shim more than that, I believe the additional shims are 2,500 or 3,000. But you get enough to do 18 lenses, which should hold everyone for a while. So
Let's pass it down to Carey. Carey, what's the bad news?
Get your calculators out if you want to know. I only know pounds. I don't know dollars. I don't live here. Strange currency. So if we start at the bottom and we go with Mini S4s, they're comparable to CP3 pricing. We don't do a non-manual eyes in everything that we do. So that's introductory, and then you can say top end spherical is going to be S8. One thing I didn't mention about that is what is S8 and why is it S8 is because it's an all spherical design. And at Cooke, since we have polishing machines that go back to having patents in 1910, it allows us to make very deep curves into our glass, because when you're using CNC machines, you can't get that type of curvature into your glass. So the spherical glass that we can polish is into the Cooke look, which you were asking about, James. And so it's a very classical design, the S8s, using very classical polishing. So they're the top end spherical. I think they're around 25,000 in pounds, and they would be matched by our full frame anamorphic 1.8s in either standard or SF coating.
And you're delivering them now.
Yeah, we're delivering them now, and then we have our full frame Varitol zooms that cut with our full frame S7s and our full frame S8s at T2.9. To round up an ecosystem with our full frame 1-to-1 macros. So they are all about £38,000, I think, for the zooms. So it's a varying scale of economy.
But if somebody bought one of these in the 70s, a set, and they were complaining about spending $20,000 for the set, it's probably worth about $150,000 now, right?
Yeah. Glass is king.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we're all here, and that's why there's so many new entries into the market. They're all trying to make money out of what they can see as a very interesting, profitable business. The only thing about glass being king is that your mechanics have to last for that long. So what looks like a bargain today might not be a bargain tomorrow if you can't get it serviced anywhere. And I would say that all of the players on the table here are all fully signed up members of servicing their lenses and supporting service for their customers, be they rental or owner operators. And that's where the difference comes in. So I'll pass on.
Please.
Well, I guess when we look at the Duvo 25 to 1000, I just want to point out that that's 975 different focal lengths. So it doesn't seem that expensive.
It's only a few thousand.
Yeah, the current list price on that lens is 265,000.
You win.
For the individual lens. Certainly, it is shipping now. They are in the wild. Street price is somewhere down from there. We have to manage separate markets outside the cinema, so it's a little bit of an inflated list price, but certainly find one of your favorite Fuji people, and we'll help you out with that.
Let's see if we can get to a different mic, just so we're not have all the mics down here on this side. Try that one. Try that one, Ed.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
So you have a whole kit now, right?
Yes.
And what's the whole kit go for?
So we call this the Studio lens case. It has everything I mentioned in it. It has the TS160 base, and then the 5 lenses, the flipper, and the 2 prisms. And this is $16,000.
And how many lenses you getting for that?
Well, you get 5 lenses, but 2 double up, so it's 7 lenses. Plus 2 prisms, a lens mount, and some nice foam.
It's hard. So you win on the other side. So
Yeah, you and me are the winners.
Yes, I'm not used to being at the lower end of this game, which is kind of amazing for us. These are among the least expensive lenses we've ever made. The LC lenses are about $23,000 per lens, and the Hugo lenses start at $14,000 per lens.
For an 11 lens set of the full frame high speed primes, you're looking about under 50K. So anywhere from 14 millimeter all the way up to 135. Pretty good deal, in my opinion. But I might be biased.
65 millimeter.
Including the 65 millimeter, so 11 lenses. Yeah,
Nice size.
yeah.
Ryan.
I paid the $1, Bob. The Vista Primes average out to there's different things going on, but basically they average out. So the zooms we have an 11 to 20 that's $2,400, and then we have our 25 to 75 is about $5,000, and then the Vista Primes they're all pretty much averaging at about $6,000 a piece. This one is not. We're quite proud of this one at $18,000, but it's actually a bargain at half the price of the nearest one. So.
Jean-Marc.
Yeah, so first, if we start with entry level, what you call entry level with C3, we are in the lower $4,000, and they are really great lenses. They have been used on a lot of top movies, even the one that won best cinematography for the Oscar, All Quiet on the Western World, or the one that won Sundance this year, best cinematography. So you can really use these lenses. The only kind of down thing compared to the high end is the T-Sub T21 or T29 compared to the T15. And if we go to the Supreme, they start at just around 20,000 for the mid-range, and the Radiants are 10 to 15% higher, so 23,000 average for the mid-range.
So, in an effort to make lenses smaller, could the focus motors could that be built into the lens so it's not a lot of gack on it as the cameras are getting smaller?
No. We did an experiment with that when we did our Thalia line, which is based on Leica's S medium format lenses, which are motorized lenses. This was a few years ago, and at the time there were not lenses that were strong enough and silent enough to move that much glass. And to your point of having big lenses, putting motors inside bulks them up quite a bit more. We have no intention of doing it anytime soon because it's just, we found it not to be practical.
I think I would echo that thought that making the lenses smaller and lighter weight is critical. You know, in a lot of the market research we did in the development of Promista, the feedback from the marketplace was smaller, lighter weight. What we tend to do is add them on with a grip that really increases the versatility and the flexibility. You know, the Cabrio grip, the Dubo grip when it comes, the Croziel grip for the Promistas. You can plug your wireless fizz units into that, and then you don't need to have all that other stuff. You know,
And you can also take it off if you don't
and
want
you can take it off if you don't want it. So that really gives you that versatility, that flexibility. And then if a motor breaks, your lens isn't down, right?
Yep, that's the big one.
Yeah.
We did cover delivery a little bit. You're on it now, new factory, I know.
Yeah, we have 2 factories. And also one thing that I didn't mention, but many of the other panelists did mention, is about eye. If you do come over to the stand, you will see eye running in via Unreal Engine in real time, compositing via anamorphics. It's actually very interesting.
So that's
And,
metadata feeding.
Metadata, it's the proof that where eye is meant to be going, where it is always meant to be going. And at the moment, it's the cutting edge technology. I think that we've really shown where I can deliver. So if anyone's got time to pop over, please do, and we can give you a live demonstration of it in proper anamorphic.
Art, what do you see for the future? Cinema lenses.
Oh, cinema lenses. Thank you.
I know you can't tell us about any products coming up, but just in general, what do you see?
Oh, what do I see?
You had to
Boy.
push the ball.
I kind of think I talked a little bit about it. Just the way the cameras are going, the way displays are going. We're
going to be seeing more extreme cinematography viewed in more extreme ways. And that's something that we're looking at and taking really seriously because it's already happening and I don't think it's going to stop. We're only going to see better and better displays as the various entities try to lure us back in the theaters or try to sell us more TVs. So we're trying to stay well ahead of that curve.
If you're going to be making a major investment, you want to make sure that it's there for the future.
That is the plan. I mean, typically our lens lines lasts. We just discontinued ultra primes after 24 years, something like that. So yeah, our stuff generally lasts reasonably well.
I see you grabbing the microphone.
Yeah, you know, I think what's exciting is we're seeing cinema, the desire for the cinema look bleed into all kinds of new places, right? And hence the need for something like the cinema box lens, right? So we're seeing it in live event, in sports, in concerts, in houses of worship. The looks that you guys all create is so desirable out there. So I think it's not going to be restricted to a production set anymore. We're seeing that go all over the place, and the needs in these other verticals are different. So it'll be curious to see how that continues to evolve.
Anybody else want to take a stab at the crystal ball?
I think it's more the present, but it's going to be a continuing trend is customization. I think there's really a strong call from directors of photography and the rental. We see that go with the rental companies that we talk to, that everybody wants something a little different. So I think you're seeing that with Angenieux, with the optimal primes, and then lenses that can be pushed and pulled, like the Supremes and the Vistas, and a lot of them. But one thing you see is when you look at a lot of photo lenses, they really can't be pushed very much. You can do some things with coatings, but that's it. And so lenses that are designed for that purpose really stand out, and that's what you're seeing this continued trend of, even if it's not here today, I think you're going to see continuing of customizations and niche looks that really meet the needs of everybody.
Yeah, and if I can add, yeah, customization is really a new trend. We have seen that for probably 10 years since anamorphic and other lenses have been rehoused by a lot of people. At the same time, metadata is also becoming very important. /I is becoming a standard. Everybody's using metadata now. And last year we released a new portal that allows people to use the metadata to download the shading and distortion characteristic of the lens and use that information directly to just create VFX. In the past, people were shooting grids and using some video to really guess the shading and distortion. Now this is something that becomes available very quickly. And the third thing that I think the future will bring is also using camera with shorter flange. People in the past needed to have a lot of space between the sensor, the film, and the mount and the lens, because there was a mirror. Now there is no mirror. So moving to LPR or even E-mount or RF mount becomes really important for the lens, because we can create lenses lighter and more compact, and even more customization on the lens. So adding glass in the back, and that's something that I think we would see more and more in the near future.
Okay, I'm afraid we're about to turn into pumpkins, so let me thank everybody first. I'd like to thank Randy Wedick from Angenieux, Art Adams from ARRI, Carey Duffy, of course, from Cooke, Stosh Durbacz from Fujinon, Ed Stamm for Infinity Photo-Optical, Seth Emmons from Leitz, and Frank Ramirez from Sigma, Brian Avery from Tokina, and Jean-Marc Bouchut from Zeiss. How does it feel on that side of the table? And very special thanks to our volunteer crew, Cannon, who's with us today, as well as Jon Tucker, camera in the back. Christopher Knell is helping to coordinate sound, and he'll be editing. So it'll be nice to meet Chris. And I thank you all for coming. Thank you very much. I hope you learned a little bit about cinema glass. Thank you.